Well, hello, my friend. This is Joe Bakhmutsky. I'm the founder of Power to Be Happy and also the author of Finding Hope in Times of Uncertainty, a guide to thriving in a challenging world of today. And listen, when was the last time that you felt angry? When was the last time you just really felt like mad and just upset that something just really set you off? Oh, for me, it probably was yesterday. It's just something that happens in our lives, and something just really gets at you. And maybe it's just something that someone said, or maybe something that really happened. Just that maybe that really goes like against your values and just against your way of life and everything that you stand for. But no matter where it comes from, I kind of find that it's just such a powerful emotion, right? It's just kind of sweeps in like a wave. It just kind of takes over you. And you can't help but feel in a certain way. And sometimes you do things or say things that, or think things that you're going to hate yourself for. And you go, like, that's not me, or like, I don't want to feel this way, right? Because ultimately you get caught up in this loop, and it's just not helping you at all. And it's difficult to find a way out of it sometimes because it's just such a powerful emotion, and it just leads you all into all sorts of things that you don't want to feel, right? You don't want to feel this way. And telling yourself to stop feeling this way, I find, is useless. It doesn't work. Right? Because it's not like a logical thing that you can go, oh, well, I shouldn't feel angry, so here it is. So what I found in my experience, the only way to stop yourself from feeling angry in a particular situation is to replace the anger with another emotion. And what's really, when you think about it, what is really the opposite of anger? Right? The opposite of anger is gratitude. And when you put that in, it becomes easier, right? Because you're not just telling yourself something, you have another feeling that can kind of get in and just kind of make you feel in such a different way, in a profound different way. Because gratitude is something that you experience for being alive, for having the life that you want to have, for sometimes you can be grateful just for the littlest things, right? It's just being able to have food, being able to have shelter. Sometimes it's gratitude for having someone in your life that you really care about. Sometimes it's being safe, and sometimes it's being grateful for for your way of life, for being able to do the work that you do. And sometimes you just people doing nice things for you, things that make you feel good about yourself, or when people help you out. There's so many things that I think we could be grateful for, and we oftentimes forget. I know I forget, and I kind of have to remind myself. And I think this is a perfect time to do that. To do that when you are feeling angry and you feel like you don't like that feeling, because it's an awful feeling. It's an awful feeling. There's no way to really dress it up. It's just not something how you want to feel. And so to get around it, we want to replace anger with gratitude. How do you do that? Well, I think it's so vital to really pick out, ideally one person who's done something for you, something that you really appreciate, or whose presence you're really you're really grateful for in your life. Think of that one person and let them know. This is really I found the most powerful way to kind of switch from anger and kind of replace it with that feeling of gratitude. You could write in a gratitude journal, you can think about something, but when it's associated with the person, it really just like flips a switch, right? Because it's powerful, it's real, and you can do something in that moment. And it doesn't have to be something huge. It could be like I don't know, you could send a text or an email, and it could be like, Hey, listen, thanks for helping me with this thing you did the other week. Or also, I just appreciate and just love having you in my life. Those things, not only do they get to a place where you start thinking about something positive, not only do you start thinking about a happy memory perhaps, not only do you start kind of shift your emotions into a totally different place, but it also helps you kind of bring you even closer with people in your life, whether that's your workmate, whether that's a friend, whether that's someone within your family, right? Because how often does someone really let you know that that they appreciate you and that they really care for you and they're really grateful for having you in their life? It's something that we really don't get enough. So people are gonna love it. They're gonna love it when you are gonna do this to them and just express that in whatever way that is meaningful for you. I think the best way is either to do it in person or over the phone, like when they can hear you and hopefully see you as well. But if not, like a text or email is great, right? Because when you obviously see each other or hear each other, you can get that instant feedback, and that's really great, and that's a real powerful shift. But everything else works well as well, like whether it's email or text can work extremely well to help you shift that emotion away from anger and replace it with gratitude. That's critical because that emotion is not gonna go away on its own. And to me, I think one of the worst things about anger is you kind of feel helpless. You kind of feel helpless, don't you? Because something happened and it's not up to you. You feel like you can't really change things. You don't know what to do next. And when you feel helpless, what is it that you can do about that? Well, I find that it's absolutely vital to really put your energy, your time into something that you can control, into something that is up to you, into something that is gonna really help you to feel more alive and just more present and more in charge, right? Because when you do something, whether that's something in your home, whether that something is in your work, maybe it's something that you love doing, right? Maybe it's like a passion or a hobby, right? Whether that's gardening, or whether that's writing your book, or whether that's making a meal, or whether that's doing exercise, whatever that is for you, right? I think it's so important to really get in it and start giving it the best you can. First of all, because it just shifts your focus. You start thinking about different things. You start your mental, your physical energy you put into something that you will really redirect your focus away from anger. But most of all, you kind of get that feeling of just like being in control again, or being able to do something about your life that you can. And because sometimes you don't feel that when you're angry. And that's why it's so important to flip that around and do something that is really within your control. I also want to speak to really what I believe is the number one challenge that we all face with anger. And you kind of hear it from people sometimes when people say, well, don't take it personally. And sometimes people say that the people who made you angry, right? and I don't think that makes any sense to me. That never really made any sense to me, because I'm a person, so of course I'm gonna take things personally. It's kind of like sometimes people say, well, no offense, but, and then they say something that's really rude and offensive. Have you ever had that happen to you? I think it really does happen all the time. So, but sometimes, it really is a helpful thing when people say, well, oh, don't take it personally. And sometimes I know that, don't take it personal, because maybe this person just it just couldn't help it, or they didn't find the right way to express things, or the situation just kind of didn't go to plan and things got out of hand. I kind of get that, but at the end of the day, I think it's fair to say that we do take things personally because it's normal. It's how we are. That's how we're kind of wired as humans. So I think the more helpful thing is to really kind of shift that your feeling of involvement and being in this situation and having it really something that affects you to a place where you can kind of let it go. And I had a situation recently at work where I was involved in a project, and all of these things started happening. Things didn't really go to plan. Things just started changing, and I think people weren't behaving in a way that I was really expecting them to. And so it's something that deep inside made me really upset and angry. And in a way, I realized that yes, it's something that I shouldn't take personal, right? Because no one did it to really upset me. It's just kind of how things happened. And I also felt like I was losing control a bit. And I also hated the fact that I was angry. I was coming up with all of these revenge schemes and, well, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. And that's awful, right? That's an awful place to be in. You start thinking about it. You can concentrate on other things, right? That's awful. But one question that really helped me was to think, well, what's the one thing that I could do if I knew for sure that making the situation just and fair was beyond me? Right? What is the one thing that I could do if I knew that making the situation just and fair was beyond me? Right? Because I think the part of the frustration with that we experience with anger and why we get caught up with it is because, like, sometimes you can't change things, right? We feel like it's some kind of injustice that is done against you, and that's why we keep on feeling this way. And sometimes that's exactly how it is. Sometimes it's not fair, and sometimes it's not just. And maybe there isn't an easier way to make it to be so. But what we can do, what we really can do, is to, if you ask yourself, what's the one thing that I could do in this moment? That I'm angry, that I'm frustrated. What's the one thing that I could do if I knew for sure that making this whole situation just and fair was beyond me? What's the one that you could do to help yourself? Like for me in that situation was, I decided that, I'm not going to be part of this initiative. I'm not going to take part in it anymore, and I'm going to let it go. I put in a lot of effort. I put in time. It didn't turn out the way that I wanted to. And I think people behaved in a way that I really didn't expect them to. But that's life. And there was something that really helped me to feel better about myself and about my position, and kind of really helped me to kind of put it behind me and just find my own way forward. And that was what I believe is the critical thing about dealing with anger. First of all, to replace the immediate emotion that you have, just immediate, like this strong feeling, to replace it with really what is the opposite of anger, which is gratitude, which is a place where you can be grateful or thankful for something that is important to you and your life, and expressing it to someone that you care about and someone that ultimately cares about you, right? The second thing is, having been helpless and feeling like it's not up to you, and then doing something that is going to give you that feeling of being in control, being in charge, something that is really maybe something that you can lose yourself in doing, something that is maybe can engage you physically and mentally, so that you can feel you can really make a difference. And then ultimately the third thing is, of course, is to really not try to find a solution that is really gonna bring a sense of justice or fairness, because sometimes that isn't possible. As that's upsetting and it's not great, but that's how things are sometimes. And that's why it really helps to kind of ask yourself, if that's the situation that you find yourself in, to ask yourself, well, what's the one thing that I could do if I knew that making it just and fair was beyond me? I hope this is helpful. I hope this can serve you, and I hope to speak to you soon.